how hard it was to go sevens first? Like when we first got into racing, that was like insane.
We made it harder than it had to be.
Well, that's fair.
Like, there was definitely an easier path.
Definitely.
And at
than
every
a stick
path,
shift Corvette with no body.
even with the stick shift Corvette, I feel like we often took some choices that didn't make it easy on ourselves.
Oh, the worst choices.
Slow on switching to Holly, slow on switching to like drive-by-wire, slow or cable.
I guess I mean, we didn't realize at the time, but the guys that we were surrounded by were not drag racers.
Yes.
So, which is great. I mean, that's because that's what we had at the time was a full-blown street car. Mm-hmm. Leroy like was totally a street car. I mean, I know that sounds dumb, but like
no, it was.
It was built like a street car, and that was just not the right way.
You were so reluctant to put skinnies on the front.
Yeah, I know. I was like, they're so ugly, dude.
It was like the wheels you need. C5Z wheels. They fit a good tire.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, like 18s. We were building a streetcar. We didn't even realize it. We were building a streetcar to go drag racing. If we just had an ounce of the knowledge we have now, or we were around drag racers, they would have been like, nah, dude, none of that.
I will say, James had the knowledge, but he was pretty slow on feeding it out.
Dude, James was right there with us.
But he was racing for years. He was drag racing for a long time.
But I don't think that... I think he had a street car too. I don't think James had a drag car. Like,
yeah, the Nova had nitrous on it, like an L or the.
Yeah, he had a carbureted LS with nitrous
in the 240. I think it just swapped back and forth.
He did have a glide, so he was a step ahead of us there. But like when I'm trying to think who like the first drag racer, because even at that time, like Victor wasn't even a drag racer.
The first like real drag racing like talk, I feel like was Casey Rance.
Yeah, that's true. Casey from Texas Speed was the first guy who was like,
"What are you guys doing?"
He's like, "No, man, you gotta do it like this." You know, like he was definitely. That's a good point.
Shout out to mail order tuner.
Yeah, I'm shocked you thought of that. I saw his brother the other day. His brother flies airplanes.
Oh, cool.
I was at that airplane race and I saw his brother.
I haven't seen Casey in a while. I mean, his 240 was like one of the first 7-second cars that like did it all the time.
Yeah, and he was going like 7.0s, I remember.
Yeah.
On a 4-bolt headed Texas Speed 427. And we were like, that's crazy.
Well, also he'd be like, yeah, I'd take it out once a year. And it goes 7.0s.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
and what do you know? First time we ran a 7 was with him.
Yep.
So yeah, that's our first drag racer, like real, just drag race guy, I guess. I mean, by the time we were running like 8s and bottom 8s and all that, we were kind of drag racers. We had to figure it out.
But no, like we would fly into Texas Speed, and remember we raced like a couple of the Texas Speed cars for them, and I think that was before Leroy went 7s.
It was right after.
Stick shift.
It was right after.
NA car and like a couple other things. I mean, yeah, we spent a little time talking with Casey, and he kind of helped coach through a little bit of like the growing pains.
This is so funny how bad we were at building cars. Like you remember Leroy had 3 fuel pumps. Was it 3 Magnafuel? It was 2 Magnafuels and the stock pump.
And a booster. 2 boosters, maybe.
Yeah, so it was stock fuel cell with a stock fuel pump with a line all the way to the front of the car. And then there was 2 bungs put in the bottom of the plastic fuel tank, one each feeding a Magnafuel 750. Both Magnafuel 750s were booster pumped, so they weren't 12 volts. They were 16. And then it wired together, ran to the front of the car, where it then connected with the stock fuel pump.
Yep.
And then we had a, what are those pressure switches called?
Oh, yeah, the Hobbs switch.
Oh, yeah. Then we had a Hobbs switch.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah, so the Hobbs switch is just a sensor that just on or off to kick on other
it has
fuel
a vacuum line. It has a vacuum line. And then it would see like 6 or 2 pounds of boost. First Magnafuel 750 comes lighting up. 7 pounds of boost. Second 750 comes lighting up. Dude, we thought we had this fuel system dialed on.
How many people do you think consulted on that too? Like 20 people probably had questions asked to them at some point, like answered a call and they were like, I guess you can do this. Like,
and do you remember when it would blow fuses? So we had those 40 amp fuses.
They were like from like an RV. We had to find one
at the biggest fuses, dude. I I don't know where we even got them things.
They were
from.
VMP booster pumps.
Yeah.
So like we consulted with VMP, we consulted with like Jeremy, we consulted with Motion.
Yeah, we had these
Everyone
huge ass fuses running the thing, and somehow, dude, miraculously got us into like the mid-8s, and then Doug from Motion Raceworks came in town and put a mechanical fuel pump on the car.
Yeah, and
Thank
even
the
that was
Lord.
even that was a little questionable.
Dude, that thing never broke.
Just the location wise of things and the way that things were mounted probably wouldn't be done that now.
No.
And granted, you know, nothing on Doug. He just, we were like, we got these hand tools. Help us put this thing in.
Yeah. Yeah, we did like the remote fuel pump where you have the cable all the way in the back.
Cable.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. I mean, it works, though. It makes a lot of power in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it never failed.
Shout out to Doug for flying in for that back in the early days.
Yeah, that's just crazy to think. But I think that was kind of around the time we figured out, okay, now we're drag racers. This thing needs to work like this and not like a street car.
I think one of the people, too, was Matt LaRue was like, what are you trying to do with this thing? Like, when are you going to, like, get serious on your car here?
Yeah, Matt from ProFab. I remember when I was trying to decide if I should keep the air conditioning in Leroy or not. And he was like, why do you have air conditioning? And I was like, it's nice. And he was like, I was on the fence about it, and he just cut the AC condenser line. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, screw this, and just cuts the line, and the AC stuff's like, and I'm like, bro. And he's like, you don't need AC? What the hell? So then we took out like 50 pounds worth of crap.
Yeah. Sometimes you need somebody to like sit you down and be like, what is your real end goal?
Yeah.
And I've had these conversations with friends before where I'm like, what do you really see yourself? Because they're like, I need it to be full comfort. I want to drive this thing to California and back. And I'm like, but really, let's talk a little bit here. I talked to Brett about this. I was like, you should do like a concierge service for these people that don't like, you know, consult with these people and help them with the fab shop, the wiring, like all this kind of stuff.
The crazy thing is, though, back then, if you asked me that, I would be like, oh, well, I wanted to be able to drift it, drag race it, and, you know, drive it to the track.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't
It
really
had to
know.
really do all that because that was the only way it could make that much content.
Dude.
There was no
Back
other
in the day,
way.
Leroy was single-handedly pumping out content like you've never seen.
But that was also with putting a ton of miles under our belt.
Yeah.
That was without fail because there was a lot of miles.
I know.
On that truck.
Yep.
Like going to ice cream cruise and stuff. I mean, that's a haul.
I know. I was just talking to Kyle Loftus. I was like, dude, we need to go to ice cream cruise next year.
I was telling my wife that. I was like, I want to go because she's never been. I was like, I really need to
make it a thing.
Yeah.
But
and they
you're
just
gonna have
gave
a baby.
$180,000. Or 118?
120.
Yeah. $120,000 to veterans because it's a full charity deal.
I know. It's incredible.
Such a cool event that he does.
You're going to have a baby to travel with. You know that?
I will have a baby. Maybe I'll have to drive and Bronte will fly in. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.